They say these terrorists are from Mali. That's what Vanguard is saying. Mali. Our differences. There are extents to what God has brought together as a Nigerian nation. There's extent to what a fellow Nigerian can do to a fellow Nigerian. Now it become clear what we are suffering. And it'll be sad that some Nigerians are backing up these strangers that have come to kill, maim, steal, destroy Nigeria. I would say,
God will help us.
well, we help ourselves too, but God have the ultimate of helping us. So God help Nigeria. That's what Kingsley wants us to do.
God has to help.
God help Nigeria, and Nigerians help themselves too. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you, Chris, for your time this morning. All right, that's the most we can take for the review. We'll go a short break and we'll come back. We'll dive right into all the discussions. You don't go anywhere.
Welcome from that short break. This is still Signature Morning, and I am Princely Roland. And before we move to our next segment, Belinda, did you have an idea that tigers come from Asia and not Africa?
Because of the stripe on the tiger, I used to think it's
It's
African
an African
thing.
So it's surprising to just realize that it's from Asia and not Africa. So on the next segment, we have Louis here to talk about the gift to judges. We have Louis Onya to talk about the gift to judges going on in Nigeria recently. Good morning, Louis.
Good morning.
Good morning,
Good morning,
Louis.
and welcome
Onya.
to
I'm
Signature
happy to
Morning.
hear again.
Yes, definitely. We're
Pleasure.
most happy to have you. Louis Oyer is a legal practitioner, publisher, independent Summit newspapers. We're glad to have you, sir, once again.
Welcome,
pleasure.
sir. So moving on, we have the gift to judges issue that has been going on for a while, that Wike is building houses under the directive of the president, obviously, for judges in the federal capital. So I want to know, what do you think about this? Is it appropriate, being that it's coming from the president himself?
Well, let me put these things better for understanding. You see, there's nothing wrong in building or providing facilities for judges and the other people who are public servants or public officers. There's nothing wrong in that. But there are areas you don't go to, such as that when the executive arm of government, which is different, which has its own budget, decides to build houses for another arm of government, that's judiciary, that has its own budget, then something sinister is likely to happen. And that is where everybody seems to be disagreeing, that it is not the executive that should provide anything for the judiciary. Because now we are in era of election problems. Now a minister, Wike built houses for judges, even judges, justices of Court of Appeal. In Rivers State, he built high courts, state high courts, federal high courts, Court of Appeal, all these things, even Nigerian Law School. The problem is, will he do that as, is he a Father Christmas? For me, those monies he used were monies meant for River State indigents and government. So he was given the impression maybe the federal government was not doing much for its own institutions. Accountability is very important. So for me, it's wrong. It is a Greek gift, especially from a person like Wike. We know that his hunger for power is endless. I must be frank with you.
When he was in River State, there were things he was doing, and we said, well, they called him Mr. Project. But he has shown now that it was not out of care for his people, concern for good governance. It was spiced with a lot of personal political interest. So I think it's wrong for Wike to leave, go to Abuja, and you see a lot of horrible things that are going on. See shanty people. Is it poverty? Where do you start from? Then he's now building.
Is it a problem of Wike in person, or it is a general problem? When you say coming from someone like Wike, I'm wondering, so if he had come from someone like another governor out there, would he make it right?
No, I must be frank with you. But it would have been, let's watch and see. It would have been this one is a gentleman. That I said when Wike started, we thought he was this thing, but it has been shown that all these things are behind every gift. There's something he wants to take out from those people.
When you say Wike, you understand that it's not just Wike. Sheriff Oberwere, governor of Delta State, also presented 20 Toyota Prado sports utility vehicle to judges in the state. So it is not just Wike doing this thing.
Yes, I agree with you. Let me say this. That is what we are talking about when we talk about independence of the judiciary. Independence of the judiciary, independence of the legislature and executive arm of government. We are saying each should be mindful of his own rules and rights, privileges. When it started, not now, not just in this present dispensation. I remember during the military era, IBB, Ibrahim Babangida, bought Mercedes cars for justices of the Supreme Court. Nigerians were alarmed. And a newspaper, I think Weekend Concord or Sunday Concord, I think that is more of Weekend Concord, published that story. Now, when the June 12th election saga came up, Abiola said, we published something against you. And the Supreme Court said, we're not going to talk about Abiola's problems because you can't distinguish him, you can't remove him from Concord newspapers. So IBB started it because he wanted to remain in power. So he procured Mercedes cars for about 6 or 8 justices of the Supreme Court. And it was a scandal then. Even justices among themselves condemned it. Now, in the 70s, the former Chief Judge of Lagos State, one Justice Taylor, was the Chief Judge of Lagos State, while Brigadier General, one Brigadier General then was the military governor. I remember his name. They had a program in the Alausa, the government house. So he sent him an invitation card. He sent Taylor, Justice Taylor, an invitation card. Justice, the other is a brigadier. I still remember his name. So he sent him a letter, an invitation. Say, come to government house, we have a party tomorrow and all that and all that. The judge said, who brought this? He said, waiting. Said, okay, let's wait. He turned the back of that ivy and said, Your Excellency, thank you for the invitation. I regret to inform you that I will not attend because Lagos state government has about 4 cases in my court alone. So the judge knows his onions. He knows, or he knew his capacity. The military administrator did not do anything. Did not even frown at it. But nowadays you see somebody, a judge, is there handling your matter. And you will come there and bring money. Naming ceremony. You invite him. When he's going, you go with envelope. And what do you think will happen to your case in his court? What everybody is saying, look, you are a human being. If you decide to be a judge and you are favored, please be satisfied with that. Everybody is your friend. Everybody is your enemy. It happened in ENUGU here. Sorry. It happened in ENUGU here when I appear in television or public city like this, I mention names. A former chief judge in ENUGU launched a book, ABC of Land Cases or something like that. A prominent Igbo man, Prince Ateze, had a case in his court between him and one of the commercial banks, running into millions. That was a case. Now, the judge organized a launch for his book. And the business mongo came and donated a check or bank draft of 10 million naira. Then the next day, the lawyer came and said, my lord, transfer this case. The bank says we are no longer comfortable with you. It was announced in the television, national TV. It became an issue. The judge could not, his hands were tied. Is either the money
or the right judgment.
Right judgment. If I were in his shoe, I would have transferred it. The lawyer made the case for you, made it easier. He carried on to it. He was retired. He was retired. He led to a lot of things. So I think we should respect that institution. I read over one of the online stories where judges were, they are being punished, being reprimanded, but there are some of them who are neck deep. They don't even understand what you're talking about. When you allow politicians to do one favor or the other to a judge, it affects the judge's integrity.
Okay, but from a legal practitioner point of view, what constitutional provisions or statutes, would you say govern the receipt of gifts by judges?
No, you have these. There's nothing, to my knowledge, constitutionally that says you should not accept gifts. But there's nothing that says you should accept gifts. It's common sense, knowing the implication. Because sometimes a judge may not be corrupt. He renders judgment the way he understood the law. Nobody will punish him, even if he gave a wrong judgment. But once people are satisfied that it was based on his knowledge of the law or facts before him, nobody. But once you go outside and it is tainted by fraud, corruption, gifts, it must be discovered. Now, the former Chief Justice of Nigeria, the immediate past, was in Port Harcourt. Said he attended a marriage ceremony, Chief Justice of Nigeria. with all the cases, all the problems in Nigeria.
Attending emergency.
He abandoned it to go to Port Harcourt. And when he seemed, let me use that word, when he seemed to be corrupt, to be intoxicated, he started singing that he's happy that his governor was a member of the G5. Those governors that worked with Wike and crippled PDP. He denied it until they started beaming the coverage on him. That was Nigerian character. They started playing down on that.
So I want to know, is there any mechanism that exists to ensure the transparency of gifts received by judges?
See, judges are not supposed to receive any gift.
Well, but they're human beings.
Exactly.
I mean,
now, see, when there are certain things you don't do because you're a human being, there are certain things, so many of them you don't do because you are mature.
okay.
For me, for example, why should a lawyer steal? Why should a lawyer steal? He knows the implication. He knows what he's going to do, what will happen. Why should a lawyer, for example, again, rape somebody, be involved in rape matters? There are certain things that you are expected to know, the effect. And let me tell you, in law it says likelihood of bias, not that you are biased.
Likely.
Likelihood of bias, that this person will surely, or just like every
Likelihood that the person will be biased.
Will be biased.
But there's a tendency that they won't.
What is the implication in the mindset of another person?
Okay.
Justice is when everybody looks at it and said, well, the judge was right.
Fair.
The judge was fair. But when you said this is the uncle, the in-law,
People scrutinize
the
it.
in-law to this party, and judgment is in favor of that party, or in favor of that party, what is a reasonable man likely to say?
That
His
was
in-law,
sentiments.
his in-law was there, so what do you expect from him? Likelihood of bias. Well, that's what you are saying. Will any judge turn down change the content of election petition or result when the man in his house, the man who built his house, is in power, wants to be president of Nigeria, and a petition is, his election is being contested or questioned? He may have not even adverted his mind to the fact that this man was the person who put a roof over us. His mind may not have gone there, but what will that man on the street say? The man who built houses for them.
I mean, they say it's to boost judges' performance. The essence of giving them this
It's actually the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Kekere Ekon. He has come out to say that giving gift to judges or houses to judges will, boost their performance and help them have a clear, peaceful mindset. Would you agree with him?
I don't. If His Lordship, the CJN, were to be in the classroom teaching ethics to lawyers at the law school, will she advocate for that? Will she give that as a reason and say it's to boost? Whose duty is, we are saying every money meant for the judiciary should be given to the head of the judiciary. Let them take care of themselves, just like the executive does to itself. Did anybody query the humongous amount used by Tinubu to rehabilitate the vice president's quarters recently, official quarters recently? That was in trillions. Nobody questioned it. It's executive doing his own business. We are saying any money, even a dime, meant for any department, any organ of any arm of government should be sent to that organ. So that if judiciary wants to build, they can, NJC, National Judicial Council, can do that. But the problem we have is that judiciary, our judges and justices, with greatest respect, some of them are very timid, especially the elderly ones.
What do you mean by being timid?
They don't know their rights.
Oh.
They don't know their powers. They don't know they have the power to do this. When you go to every government house, you see judges, chief judges, moving from chief of staff. So he wants to see the governor. He moves to chief of staff, lobbying, head of another arm of government, lobbying. That's why I say they are timid. If they are not timid, they will insist on their money. At worst, that president will be 80 years in office and he gets away. In Rivers State, for example, Amechi attempted to shortchange the person who was due to be the chief judge. He went to the customary court of appeal in Rivers State, brought the president and moved him to be the chief judge. NJC said no. Their tracks are different. The man is in the customary court of appeal, and so will he remain up to Supreme Court. But he cannot cross corners, otherwise there will be a collusion. There was no CJ. It was the same weekend that came, and NJC sanctioned that man, Amechi's candidate. So it is when you are timid that you don't know your power. Every office, I'm telling you, is as important as the other office, and is as powerful as the occupier knows his position.
Okay.
If I'm CJ, even if you bring Idi Amin, so to say, to be my governor, can't do me anything. Provided I know my limits. I know where my power starts, where it ends. A governor will come and embezzle money, build some few houses, or renovate some existing offices. The governor will, the city will start by saying, let me thank the chief, the governor of this state who has made it possible for us to replace the roof that was blown off.
So I was coming to ask you, what reforms do you think could help to prevent judges from accepting gifts that will compromise their independence?
I think that there are so many standards acclaimed that are of international measures that judges, number one, they cannot say they don't know. The checks could start from let judges, appointment of judges, be removed completely from the governors and presidents. Once a president cannot appoint or remove a judge of the federal courts, then you will see that this issue of gift will stop. Once the State Judicial Service Commission can appoint, has the duty to appoint, hire and fire any judge, remove it from politicians.
Okay. So are there repercussions for this receiving of gifts from judges?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
It's not that you receive the gift, you will be sanctioned immediately. Nobody sanctions you. But especially when the head of that court is aware or is part of the beneficiaries of that gift. But you are sanctioned once it is tied to misconduct.
Okay.
Like I said of ENUGU, the man collected he was launching a book. And he was giving money, donation. He didn't ask for it. But he knew the matter was before me. And he was holding on to that. No, it's not good.
Thank you very much, Louis Onya, a legal practitioner and, of course, the Publish Independent Summit newspapers. Thank you for your time, as usual, on this morning show.
Thank you very much.
Of course, we'll keep bringing you up to speed on all the topics we will, be discussing here. Yeah. All right, so that's the most you can take for this particular interview and discussion. We're going to short break and we'll come back. We'll bring you more.
Welcome to Entertainment News on Signature TV. I am your host, Quincy Rowland, on this exciting journey. So brace yourself as we dive right in. First on our list, we have beauty queen Chidinma Adesina dumps pageantry as she opens up on her traumatic journey to Miss Universe. It will be recalled that Chidinma had emerged as the first runner-up at the 2024 Miss Universe. During a recent interview on Silverbird, she noted that she is done with pageantry because of the trauma she had experienced. Additionally, she noted that she would be moving back to Nigeria from South Africa. It is worth noting that Adesina's remarkable pageantry run included finishing first runner-up at Miss Universe and being named Miss Universe Africa and Oceania. Her path to success began with winning Miss Nigeria, a decision made after withdrawing from Miss South Africa and Miss Nationality controversy. Next, we have the quartet of Nigerian singers, D'banj Olamide, Yemi Alade, and Timi Dakolo, performed at the opening ceremony of the 2024 African Military Games in Abuja yesterday. 25 countries had participated in the second African Military Games, AMGA 2024. The athletes participated in 19 sporting activities, which took place at the Mushood Abiola Stadium, except for obstacle crossing and shooting. The 2024 African Military Games was organized by the Organization of Military Sports in Africa, OSMA, and the International Military Sports Council, CISM. D'banj performed at the closing ceremony of the 2013 African Cup of Nations, AFCON, in South Africa, with the Super Eagles of Nigeria won. Yemi Alade sang the soundtrack and performed at the opening ceremony of the last AFCON in Ivory Coast. And on the foreign scenes, we have in South Africa village of Marapane, a jazz group inspired by New York City famous village Vanguard Club is providing a social outlet for elderly community through music and dance. Encouraged by his love for jazz, founder Paul Teske started the Village Vanguard Jazz movement late last year in the village in Mpumalanga province. The club holds live music sessions every fortnight, which are attended by many older residents. With the help of her granddaughter, Dawn skirts and heels in preparation for one of the sessions, which she said helped clear her mind. Ske, who the villagers call Bra Paul, short for Brother Paul, said the movement aims to bring together people from all age groups and he hopes to expand nationwide. South Africa is widely known for the dance music genre Amapiano, but it also has a notable history of jazz, which flourished in the mid-1900s. Claude Monet's name phase netted $59 million during Schutz Buy's Autumn Art Sale in New York City. The 17-minute bidding started at $40 million before landing at $59 million. The painting was part of the collection of late beauty industry entrepreneur Cedar Miller. This was the first time the piece had come up for auction. Reine Margrites Lemper's Des Lumières sold at auction on Tuesday for over $121 million, bringing the Belgian painter into a prestigious group of artists whose works have sold for nine-figure sums. Depicting a dark, nocturnal street under a bright daytime sky, the 1954 surrealist work confounds and ambiguous in equal measure, says auction house Christie's, with an estimated price tag of at least $95 million. The painting had been expected to set a record for a work of Magritte's, but the final sale at $121.160 million exceeded even those expectations. And that's the end of our news today. Don't forget to follow us on all social media platforms: TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. I am Quincy Rowland, and see you next time.
Back, this is Steve's Signature Morning on Signature TV. And of course, we'll be shifting focus to another discussion. We're talking about the electricity distribution. That's the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, which is NEC, has actually transferred the regulatory oversight of the electricity market to state. And to talk more about that is the EERC, ERC, Chairman of ENUGU State, the Chairman ENUGU Electricity Distribution, ENUGU Electricity Regulatory Commission, actually. talking about Mr. Chijioke Okonkwo. Good morning and welcome, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chidi.
Good morning, viewers.
I almost misplaced the EEDC with the
For
EERC because in the
happens.
lips of every ENUGU residents, we always
Yeah.
hear about EEDC,
EEDC.
EEDC,
Yeah.
EEDC.
It
You're the
happens.
new chairman of ENUGU Electricity Regulatory Commission.
Yes.
Now, what is the role of EERC now to compare to EEDC, and what's the difference?
Okay, so EERC has been set up to take on the regulatory oversight of electricity services in Enugu State. We are going to now regulate activities of operators in this space. We're also going to license those that are going to operate in our space. Now, as of the 22nd of October that we took full control of regulatory regulation in Enugu State, EEDC ceases to operate in Enugu State. However, what they were expected to do by law was to set up a subsidiary that would be licensed by us to carry on their operations as a going concern in Enugu State. And they have established or incorporated a company named Main Power Electricity Distribution Limited and transferred all its assets, liabilities, personnel, and operations to this subsidiary. And that is the people that we have currently given or granted an interim license to continue their operations as a going concern until we put all the structures in place for us to issue them a full license. So EEDC operations in Enugu State has come to an end. Instead, it's their subsidiary that we are now working with. And one of the beautiful things that, because everybody comes to come up with this concept that is the same wine in old skin, you know, that is the same company as the case may be, that they just changed the name. But they are going to abide by the rules and conditions that we now prescribe for them. And we expect that that difference, with us being on ground, to work with them to ensure that they deliver on efficient electricity services to the citizens of Enugu State, is imbibed into their culture.
Okay.
So EEDC, which is the Enugu State Distribution Company, electricity, yes. Does EEC, which is the EERC, does it distribute electricity or just regulation?
So ours is to create an enabling environment as prescribed by our law, Enugu State Electricity Law, create an enabling environment to develop an Enugu State electricity market for private sector developers to come into our space and play in this space. What we want to do is to create a market that is devoid of that monopolistic arrangement that we had prior to the establishment of our law and the commission. And to do that effectively, we are opening the sector for different players, be it in generation, transmission, distribution, or in retailing, to come into Enugu State to set up their businesses and deliver services to the customers in Enugu. Prior to our law coming into place as well too, what we had was EEDC carrying on the entire function, and that was basically a monopoly. You know, but since we're trying to develop a market is one where you can make choices of who you're going to purchase your energy from. And in providing an efficient service, what drives customers to actually say, okay, fine, this person can provide me this service? It's efficiency, reliability, affordability, costs, and so on and so forth. So if we can integrate competition into our own space within Enugu State, that level of competition can drive that level, adapt improvements in service delivery, improvements in affordability for the services that has been delivered, and would help, how do I put it now, ensure that customers receive benefit for what they're actually paying for. I mean, we say that customer is king. How do we exhibit that in the electricity space as well? By ensuring that the people that are delivering the service put that customer first. Because you're a paying customer. You're expected to receive the services that you're paying for in the first place. And yes, while we actually want to have that level of interaction or improvements in electricity services in our state, we also expect that certain obligations should also come from the customer side, that you don't just pay your bills, but every infrastructure that any service provider puts in place within our space is almost denoted in dollars, because we're still importing this equipment. While we want to industrialize as fast as possible, we will also want a situation whereby people participate in protecting this infrastructure. Imagine that it's vandalized and a whole district is thrown in the dark. We become unproductive automatically. And for those that have self-generation, I mean, you're running your generators at very high costs, be it diesel or petrol. So we would like to see customers, citizens, support service provider in the electricity space by not just paying their bills, but in also protecting their infrastructure, equipment, and reporting when somebody probably steals energy or commits any thefts. Because when you're stealing energy, somebody else who is the paying customer is paying for that energy you have stolen. You know, energy is not stored. You can't say, let me keep it in my back pocket till when I'm ready to use it. No, the moment it's generated, it has to be consumed by somebody. So for those that are not metered, we're working with the service provider to ensure that they are metered so they can even control their consumption. But in the larger space, I mean, it's supposed to be a complementary interaction for this business to grow. And while we're talking to the service providers and working with them to make sure that they deliver on the level of service that we expect our citizens should have, we are also going to be interacting with our customers to also meet up their own obligation by paying their bills on time and also watching out to see that the infrastructure that is delivering that electricity to them in their various homes is also protected and not vandalized.
When you talked about metering, some people are being upgraded. You say we hear this upgrade of meters, so but they are being upgraded without the consent. And I'm wondering, how are you regulating, how are you ensuring, because you mentioned interacting with your customers, how are you ensuring that you are interacting with them and then you are they are consenting to any upgrade you want to do?
So that used to be what happens in the past. You know, that if the services you're receiving from your feeder has basically improved to 20 hours or more, 20 hours or 24 hours, as prescribed by NEC, you are upgraded to being a Band A customer, while the Band B customers probably enjoy less. I mean, Band B customers get between 16 and 20 hours, Band C gets between 12 and 16 hours of electricity supply. So it's something that is actually monitored, not just by the service provider, but by NEC prior to our coming into the picture and everything. Now, with our intervention, things are going to change slightly. We are basically going to have to issue the service provider a new arrangement. If it wants to retain what it currently has, by all means, it's in a position to do so. But if it wants to go back to the former system of delivering electricity service to customers, in which customers were classified alongside your use. If you're a residential customer, you had a specific tariff that you're expected to pay. If you're an industrial customer, you had the tariff you're supposed to pay. If you're a commercial customer, you had the tariff you're supposed to pay. But that is moving away from the banding arrangement. So they have the option of taking advantage of any arrangement to bill their customers. You know, and we are actually working with them now to understudy what they would want to put forward. They can still maintain what is currently obtainable, which is the banding arrangement, where a feeder probably delivers a certain amount of energy, and anybody that's on that feeder is put on a particular band. However, we are evolving. And in evolving, it's not automatic where you can say that this can happen overnight. No. By the time we finish reviewing their application for a tariff, we would work out what is the best. We would have agreed with them.
With all the customers?
Not just the customers. They'll present it to the customers, obviously, because there would have to be that interaction where they say that this is where we're moving to. I mean, we expect that communication is key, that before anything else should happen in the sector, everybody should be carried along. I mean, the market arrangements we are trying to institute in ENUGU State is based on the willing buyer, willing seller arrangement, where you have that choice as to how much, not just how much, but who your service provider should be. You know, and if we're in a position to put people in that space where you can make that choice, be it districts, communities, because you can't say just one person, no. But the minimum would have to be a cluster of customers coming together to say, okay, I want this person to deliver this service to me. We are in a position to accept it.
Okay, still on the meter issues, there are some cases when you move into a building and there's a meter there already. And this meter is running into thousands of naira, and this new occupant is supposed to pay for the debt that was already inquired on this meter, being that this new person has no business with using this
Yes.
light. So what is going to happen? Is there any rule or anything
Yes.
that is laid down
Yes.
for the effectiveness of this problem?
Yes, so thank you for bringing that up, because we have had some people complain to us already about this particular issue. Let's put it out there that we expect that meters are installed by the landlords, and that the landlords are in a position to clear any debt that is associated with any meter before bringing on board a new tenant. You know, prior to now, even NEC had implemented it that no new occupants or tenants should be burdened by debt that has been left behind by the former occupants and
Because
everything.
it's a problem.
Yes, but if I will refer customers to our regulation on customer services standards and protection regulation, it's on our website and easily accessible to everybody. They can go through it. We expect that before a new tenant takes up any building or property, as the case may be, that the landlord that installed the meter, that probably has been paying the bill or who owns that property, would have cleared any of the liabilities or debt that has been incurred prior to that tenant taking it over. So yeah, it's not even acceptable.
It's something that has been going
Yes,
on for a while.
so please let them report to us. We are very accessible and already amenable to taking up as many of the complaints or challenges that our customers are experiencing in Enugu State.
You talked about opening opening Enugu State to other distribution companies, but I'm worried, and I know a lot of people out there are worried in terms of diversifying competition. How are you going to ensure reliability? Because one thing is we are going to have a lot of companies to distribute, to get power to go to. But now, how is EERC going to regulate their actions, regulate their activities to make sure that they satisfy each customer?
Because I will, please forgive me for saying because.
It's fine, it's okay.
Well, basically, there's always a starting point to any journey.
Okay.
And our starting point is not from ground zero, basically. Apart from the fact that we are receiving a lot of information from the current service provider as to what their electricity services has been so far, we are also carrying out our own internal studies to fully understand what is obtainable in our space. I mean, information is key. It's critical for us to actually reach that stage of being successful in what we're planning. And in opening the sector up to other players to come into play, I would probably just summarize what our market design is supposed to be. At the moment, we're receiving energy from National Grid, and it's inadequate. Out of the 4,500 megawatts that has been generated across Nigeria, Enugu State just gets approximately 70 megawatts. This was as of 2023. And that's initiated or kickstarted this entire process. Right now, we're getting an average of approximately 100 megawatts for the entire state, which we know is grossly inadequate, because high-level research that was also carried out put self-generation. I don't know whether you guys are running on a generator right now, so that it's not interrupted, that your process is not interrupted, but put self-generation at almost over 500 megawatts. That is a huge number that you're tasked with, you've tasked citizens to generate just to have an improved quality of life.
Exactly.
We're now saying, okay, fine. Since Enugu can only get 100 megawatts from the national grid, we're inviting generators, that's generating companies, IPP developers, as independent power producers, to come into Enugu State, use the resources we have available. There's a lot of solar, renewable energy in Enugu State. We have gas, we have coal. Yes, we have some hydros. In fact, I actually was very happy when we visited one or two potential sites that could serve as a hydro facility, that could accommodate a hydro facility for power generation. By the time we bring all these people on board to set up, and when we're saying set up your power plant in Enugu, and I'm starting with generation, we're not talking about setting up 1,000 megawatts in one location. Okay. No, because if anything happens to it, everybody that's benefiting from it is thrown into darkness. Come and set up 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 50, and 100 in different locations in the state, so that if my 5 megawatts is supplying this district, call it GRA, and everything. If anything happens to their power plants, it doesn't affect the whole state, the collective. So these small pockets of power generation actually puts us in a position to be energy self-sufficient with respect to electricity services, not dependent on the individuals now. And I guess I should actually say that this is very important to us because of the recent activities that has been happening with the national grid. I mean, within the past 4 months, it has collapsed 5 times, and the whole country was thrown into darkness. You know, you can't develop like that. And that's why what we're doing, we feel, should be encouraged. And other states should actually take that initiative. Now, moving from generation to, I would say, transmission/distribution, because we expect that our market would evolve where the distribution infrastructure at 330 and above will become a wires business, where everybody that is either transmitting energy across the state would be able to use the existing infrastructure plus the ones that would also be integrated to expand connection to both places that are currently connected and locations that are not yet connected.
Okay.
That way, you can sell power
Okay.
across the
Okay.
state.
All right. Currently, we have a guest on Zoom right now. No, we're going to connect. I think we're already connected. I'm talking about Dr. Dozie Ikebute. Good morning and welcome. Dr. Dozie Ikedife. Good morning and welcome. Can you hear me?
Hear me? Yes, I can hear you.
As the
Loud and
chairman,
clear.
local organizing committee for late Senator Ifeanyi Oba Burial Committee. Can you hear me, sir?
Yes. Yes, I can hear you. Thank you for having me this morning.
Thank you very much. I just want to ask you a few questions to understand what's going on about the burial of late Senator Ifeanyi Oba. So how far has the preparation for late Senator been?
Well, thank you for asking. We are good to go. We're here in Nnewi, and we have a lot of activities going on. We have a lot of preparations, but I think right now I may say we are about 95% ready, because we still have to do some sound checks and things like that, because we're expecting a lot of visitors that will come to pay their last respects for our brother that is dead. So this evening we are going to have a visual mass that will start at 5 p.m. in his country home in Nnewi. Then tomorrow we are going to have the burial, church service in the morning, then the interment around 1 p.m. And then we entertain our guests. So it's going to be activities from today being Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday when we'll have the outing service. But I think we are ready to go, and we're expecting a lot of visitors here in Nnewi for the weekend.
Okay, so how are you guys handling the security situation to ensure the safety of those attending?
Well, we've taken a lot of measures to make sure that our guests will come in peace and go in peace. We have about 200 soldiers on ground. We have about 100 Navy personnel on ground. We have about 300 policemen on ground. That is taking care of the immediate environment and the neighboring town. So coming into Nnewi from Nnobi, we have military men stationed there. In Ozobolo, in Ichi Anoba area, in Amici area, we have security men stationed in those areas. Then we're also working with the local vigilante to make sure that there is peace and orderliness through the burial process, because we are expecting a lot of guests, and we're doing everything to make sure that everything will go well. We don't anticipate any issues at all.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, ma'am.
Okay, so I wanted to ask, what are people going to expect in the ceremony?
What people will expect is people will see how much Senator Ifeanyi Oba is loved. I wouldn't even say was loved. Is loved in Nnewi. People will see how much Senator Ifeanyi Oba is loved in Anambra State. The town, the entire town is in mourning. the entire NEWU community, the youth, the women, the church people, people who are very sad about the passing of Senator Ifeanyi. So we're expecting to have maybe about 15,000 guests that will come on Friday, the day he will be buried. And then we expect maybe about 18,000 guests on Saturday. So the people that will come from other parts of the country will see how huge a man Senator Ifeanyi was. People will see his impact in the community. People will see the extent of his benevolence, the charity he did, the people that he empowered, the people he touched their lives. So we're expecting a huge crowd, and we are making plans to make sure that everybody that comes here will be well received and well taken care of.
Could you, tell us once again the date for these burials again?
Today being Thursday 21st, we are having a visual mass in his house by 6 p.m. Then Friday, the 22nd, will be the burial mass and the interment. He'll be buried tomorrow in his country home. Then on Saturday, we will receive guests that will come for condolence. And on Sunday, we'll go for outing service. And then we wrap it up on Sunday. So it's going to be 4 days of full activities. But before today, we've been having people around this house. People are preparing. The Navy youth are here in their hundreds. The women are here in their hundreds. So we have a lot of activities. We're expecting thousands of people. So right now on our volunteer list, we have about 800 people already listed on our volunteer list, people that will help to make sure that everything is orderly. So we have people from the town that are asking to volunteer. They are volunteering their time and their energy to make sure that we all give Senator Ifeanyi the burial that he deserves.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Dozie Ikedife, for that particular information. We commiserate with the families of late Senator Ifeanyi, and we pray that may his soul rest in perfect peace. All right, we'll come back to the studio where we'll also be discussing electricity in ENUGU. ENUGU State Electricity Regulatory Commission will already have chairman of EERC, diversifying the issues and of course the responsibilities of the EERC right here in ENUGU. Back to you once again. So you've laid a foundation of the responsibilities of EERC, and of course, but there's one particular thing. People still don't believe that EERC is going to do something different from EEDC. Everybody still think, oh, it's a normal ball game of the whole thing. It's like you said when we are starting, it's a normal thing. They will still come and talk, and before you know it, they will increase our everything. They will tell us to pay this, they will tell us to pay that, and all of that. So how are you, making sure that people are complying with your regulation, with your activities?
Thank you very much for that question. And may I also add voice to saying, may the soul of Senator Ifeanyi rest in perfect peace.
Amen.
Back to the issue at hand. The beautiful thing about, let me correct a notion. EERC would not be playing the role of EEDC as an operator. We are regulators, so we'll be playing the role of NERC in ENUGU State. Our business does not go beyond ENUGU State. Now, on the activity of the operator itself, which is EEDC's former operations that is now being taken over by Mainpower Electricity Distribution Limited, I think first things first is that our people need to start getting used to the name Mainpower when it comes to electricity services in ENUGU. Then the second aspect is that while Mainpower is a subsidiary of EEDC, Mainpower is guided by our regulations as EERC. And the beauty about our own regulation, the starting point, is that we are on ground. we are not as far removed as the national regulator was prior to our establishment. We are on ground and easily accessible. We have actually started posting our contact details, be it our phone number, emails, address, so that people can actually come to our office and lay their complaints. However, we also expect that everything we do as regulators is guided by the regulations we have put in place, which means we would have to also accommodate some time for the new Main Power Electricity Distribution Limited to improve on its services to the citizens of Enugu State. Now, we don't expect that, like I said, they to be automatic because they are an offshoot of EEDC. And whatever negative character they feel probably that they are inheriting is one that we would work with them to put aside, you know, to the point where they can actually start reorienting. In fact, we actually have started that conversation, that staff should be notified that they are now under Main Power, 1. 2, that it's no longer business as usual as it is known before. Why? Because if somebody tells us that he has a fault in Osaka or in Abani, Ogu, anywhere across Enugu State, it will only take us an hour, 30 minutes at most to get there.
Including
as
Sundays.
regulator. We walk around the clock. I receive calls from customers into the night. I mean, past 12 midnight. You know, so we're dedicating the entire staff of EERC is dedicating time to the electricity services in Enugu State. We're not even saying that we're perfect. We're saying test us and see whether we respond. When we get calls and multiple calls keep coming at the same time, back to back, in some cases, because we know that in some cases it can be overwhelming, we actually return calls to ask the customer, sorry, you called us and we couldn't take your call at the time that you called. What is the problem? And we'll direct that problem to the appropriate department that would work on it. I must say that Main Power has also tapped into that same level of anointing in responding to customer complaints and acting on it in real time as fast as possible. So yes, it may not be immediate, but we want customers to even give us that feedback that there has been certain levels of improvement in service delivery from their service provider. That is when we can actually rank ourselves or rate ourselves and say that, okay, fine, this is gradually beginning to pick up steam.
Okay.
But we have to be given time to get this done, really.
Okay.
Okay, so for costs, down
Yes.
to costs, is there like a subsidized method of paying for your light bills? Being that you said initially that now that you're working on things being easier, more cost effective, are there chances that the tariff bill is going to come down a bit? It's not going to be as expensive as people are complaining now?
So when you say expensive, expensive for whom? Band A customers? Because I don't hear Band B, Band C, Band D, and Band E complaining.
Complaining. Okay.
You know, so let me answer the question about subsidy first. We're not expecting that we will deal with any form of subsidy in Enugu State. No. Instead, what the state has done was the same law that set up the Enugu State Electrification Agency. And this agency is meant to support private sector developers in putting their projects in place. Now, they could help support you with access to land. They definitely would support you in granting you that right of way to connect to the electricity infrastructure, existing electricity infrastructure. And in some cases, they could actually support you with some level of funding to reduce your capex. Imagine where the state is willing to support the development of the infrastructure or the development of the project rather than support or subsidize consumption.
Okay.
By the time, if you're building a house and I say, okay, fine, building this house will cost you 100 naira, that you have, if I let you spend that 100 naira, the person that will stay in that house will be paying the value to recover your 100 naira. But if the state takes on the responsibility and say, okay, fine, let us support you and reduce that cost of 100 naira to 70 naira, I've already offset 30 naira, which is borne by the state, and reduced how much you will now charge your tenants, because you're no longer recovering the cost on the 100 naira, you're recovering the cost on 70 naira. That is the level of, how do I put it now, reduction in prices that the state is willing to accommodate. Now, in doing so, We also expect that the service provider would integrate that level of efficiency in delivering their service. And part of the reason why this potential subsidy arrangement has been put in place was because of the level of indebtedness that has frustrated the system. So what is happening with Grid Connected Power, that is at the national arrangement, is something we're trying to remove at this state level, that we actually undertake operations that are efficient and cost reflective. It's the actual cost of delivering that service that we would expect our customers to pay. Now, I can't tell you right now that it will be high. I can't tell you right now that it will be lower. But I can actually tell you that our customers at the end of the day will be happy with whatever we put in place. However, while you're paying for that service, please, we want to educate our customers on the demand side management. Because if you feel you're a bourgeois and you have that money to spend, by all means, use all the facilities you have in your house. But if we actually imbibe that culture when, if you leave a room, you switch off the light. If you're not in a particular environment, shut down the electricity system in such locations. If you use your power for probably say 12 hours, I can assure you that everything you have in your freezer is frozen. So you can afford to switch it off for another 6. You are managing your consumption to an extent. Then use energy efficient appliances. I mean, once in a while, it actually doesn't, it doesn't hurt to enjoy fresh air. You know?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chijioke Okonkwo. Thank you. I hope, like you said, the customers will be happy. Let's take it. We'll be watching and seeing what EARC is going to do, and then we're hoping that every customer in ENUGU State is going to be happy with you guys. Thank you for your time. He's the chairman, EERC, ENUGU State. All right, that's the most we can take for the interview this morning. We're going to take a short break. We'll be back after this. You're sitting on to Signature Morning, and this is Signature TV. We've been talking about different things, discussing issues, happening around. Now we're gonna shift focus to talking about ASO, allegations of ASO to its World Bank and IMF of destroying universities. And to talk about this and discuss it is Mr. Chinedu Ono, former Board of Trustees member, Tertiary Education Trust Fund, Debt Fund. He is right here in the studio. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning. How are you?
Good morning,
We're doing good. How are you doing this morning?
I'm good too. I'm good.
You're not looking like the economic hardship is staring at you.
Well, I don't
Is there
need-
any
I
secret
don't
we need
need
to
wear
know?
it. I don't need to wear it.
Okay, so what do you make of ASO's allegations to World Bank and IMF over destroying universities?
Let me start by saying that